Son-in-law.
I appreciate it.
I thought we did.
That used to be quite a
That's well as.
very giant,
Yeah.
On the plate, please.
2 fishing poles. Chris and Al.
Anyway. Okay. See, I can't remember, she made it. One of our dinners, but I don't know. So I think that's all out of the summer. They did, they had her mom over in their house and they said,
Yes.
they were all enough, but then invite her, so. And she doesn't feel comfortable coming probably in this house, so. Yeah. She just not a good person. Anyway, so I guess they had a baby, so she took a couple pictures on her, we have one of those, yeah, frames, and they can send pictures to it, yeah. Yeah, they're all dressed up in little Easter dresses, and so they were so cute. Well, I was over there last Thursday.
Something like, all right. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Right off the bat, looks like police report.
Good evening, everybody. Chief Davis, Metamora Township Police. For the month of March 2025, we had 383 calls for service. 232 of those were traffic stops. Here in the village, we had 24 incidents for the entire month. One of the incidents that I talked about on the 1st of March, we were dispatched to the 3700 block of Deer Ridge Run for a found property complaint. The complainant located a loaded semi-automatic handgun underneath the driver's seat of his vehicle. The handgun was ran through lean and it was nil. It wasn't stolen or anything like that. The owner of the gun was contacted. The owner did not know the handgun was missing. After an investigation, it was found that the complainant purchased the vehicle from a Lapeer County car dealership, and approximately 2 months prior, the same vehicle was used as a loaner vehicle prior to being sold, and the owner of the gun was using the vehicle as a loaner. So the owner of the handgun mistakenly left the handgun in the vehicle. The report was forwarded to the Lapeer County Prosecutor's Office for their review, but they declined to issue any criminal charges. But moral of the story, if you get a new vehicle, make sure you check it and make sure everything's out of the vehicle. So could have been a bad deal. Obviously, it was loaded the whole 9 yards. So luckily, the kids didn't find it. The next thing I have is I want to talk about flock cameras. I'm sure you guys have heard of them. Oh, you want me to talk now?
Yeah, you're good.
Go.
Just if we have to make a motion on it, we will do that down under, new business, but if you can talk about it during the report.
Okay. Alright, so Flock Safety is a US-based surveillance technology company specializing in automated license plate readers, video surveillance, and they also have gunshot detection cameras. Flock Safety partners with law enforcement agencies, HOA associations, and then also private businesses and private property owners to enhance safety through advanced monitoring solutions. Personally, we've been working with Flock for about 9 months. Flock's Falcon, their license plate readers, they capture images by passing vehicles, identifying license plates and unique features like the make, model, color, and other distinguishing marks like could be bumper stickers and things of that nature. The data is cross-referenced with law enforcement databases to alert police about vehicles of interest. LPRs, they provide real-time instant alerts, so when the plate gets, the photo is taken, the plate gets ran, and it can alert us on stolen vehicles, missing persons, amber alerts, silver alerts, and we're also able to make customizable hot lists. So an example of, say, an elderly person takes off and we're unable to locate them, you know, say it's somebody's dementia or something like that, we can actually type the plate in, and any place that has a Flock camera, we can actually track them and try to locate them, and also put them in a hot list so they can be located. The video cameras, for the security cameras, they have a comprehensive live view, it's 360 degrees. They assist us with investigations, they capture evidence, and assist with crime reduction. By using the technology, it multiplies the force. Obviously, out here, a lot of times we have one car working, and we can't be everywhere. So very, very helpful for that. It also protects the first responders and also the community, but as far as first responders, if say stolen vehicles going through and we're alerted of it, we know it's stolen prior to making contact. Also what it does is it collects the objective evidence. So it allows us as a police department to be proactive with the real-time alerts, assist with criminal investigations, and also serves as a deterrent to criminals. All the counties around us, Genesee County, Oakland County, Macomb County, St. Clair County, not north of us, but all the ones around us are using the technology, and it's only a matter of time before the criminals catch on to that as well. Other agencies in the county are looking as well. We've all kind of been looking at this together. The city of Lapeer, they're pretty far along in the process. Inwood City, Dryden Township, Elmont, they've all been working on it. I'm not exactly positive where they are at in the process. As far as the footage goes, it's owned by the agency, never sold to third-party companies, and the data's got a 30-day retention. So after the 30 days, the data is, there's a hard delete, you can't go back and get it, it's gone. It's stored, it's cloud-based, and it's got end-to-end encryption, so it's very, very secure. It also has accountability mechanisms, so there's has to be a reason for the search or the complaint number as far as the license plate readers go. You can't just, you know, type in your mom's plate and see where she's driving around and things of that nature. All the searches, the data goes away after 30 days, but the searches are safe forever, and it's got an audit trail, so you can obviously go back in. It's not used for parking enforcement or tools, or it's not used for speed detection. I'm almost done with the department policy on it. Obviously, the department policy accounts can be used, things like that. Currently, 125 law enforcement agencies in Michigan, and over 4,800 nationwide use Flock cameras. We would also not only have access to the LPR data statewide, but also nationwide. So, an example, we had a juvenile one time, 15-year-old without a license, take off all the way to they got all the way to Georgia, and they turned on their iPod, their iPad, and the Wi-Fi connections would have got them, but they would have never got that far if we would have been able to use this type of technology. It's subscription-based, and we're going to do 2 LPRs on 24, one north and one southbound, and then I'm looking to do the one video camera here in the village right at Oaken High. It's, like I said, it's subscription based. The initial cost is $12,250, but after that, it's $9,000 a year annually. As far as funding goes, the police department's going to fund LPRs, and the DDA is agreed to assist with the funding for here in the village for the security camera. Security camera will help us with Metamora Days, the West Sailing Parade, the winter carriage rides, the downtown traffic, you know, with the White Horse on the weekends, obviously, town's pretty busy. The car shows, music in the park, it'd be very, very useful for us. Also, the cameras with the flock, we have the ability to grow it. So an HOA, like an example, the Metamora Golf and Country Club, or the schools, or anything like that, any private business can get onto the program as well. At the township, we get approval to go forward with the project. Do you guys have any questions on it?
Did you say where they would be, where they're located?
So the LPRs, the license plate readers, are gonna be on M24 near Dryden Road. And the reason for M24 near Dryden Road is that they're not covered if they're damaged or vandalized. So my concern about putting them out, you know, at Davison Lake Road or at Sutton Road, not saying that they can't be damaged near Dryden Road, but, and a lot of times if you think about it, as far as cars traveling north or southbound, if they're coming up from Davison Lake Road, if they're coming from Sutton Road, most vehicles are gonna cross through Dryden Road as well. Now the live feed camera would be right here in the village at Oak and High. And again, it's got 360 degrees, so we'd be able to see,
So it'd be toward the intersection too?
it'd be right at the intersection.
Right at the
yes.
intersection.
Yep.
Is that the only one?
For the village for right now, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what's the range on that?
So it's gonna depend on the view of everything, where it sits, but it's gonna have a pretty good view. It has magnifying and stuff like that, so we'll be able to go in. What's-
That works.
yeah.
So I don't know if we have to give them permission or if we have to approve it, so I did put it on the agenda in case we need to do any kind of approval to allow them to pull it up here in the village. But that's down on new business, so.
Probably wouldn't hurt if we lowered on it, and you can go ahead.
Where, do you know where the camera would actually be mounted?
Yeah, it's gonna be mounted right on the corner, on the south, it'd be the south west corner.
Is it mounted on a building or a post?
It's gonna be on the pole, it's gonna be on the pole right there, so it's actually gonna be, connected to the power. So there's an additional cost with that we'll have to pay.
On the metal pole that goes with the traffic light, right? Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about?
Yep.
I guess we can address it again.
Yep.
I don't need them. Fire report then.
So, busy month last month, had 39 runs, total 17 fires, 3 here in the village, 20 medicals, 1 in the village, 2 PIs. As far as fires go, we had 1 order investigation, 4 false alarms, 1 vehicle fire, 2 structure fires. One was assist to Lapeer, the other was to Dryden. 6 wires down, because we had the 2 big windstorms came through, which also helped with 2 trees falling. And then 1 field fire.
Thank you. County Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members. Give a brief update on our 2 meetings since your last meeting. Of course, if you're interested in more information on the county website, lapeercountymi.org, all of our meetings agendas, and the video is there, and if the minutes are approved, the minutes are there as well. On the full board meeting on March 27th, we made a number of appointments. We appointed James Henry to the Emergency Management Advisory Council. Mr. Henry is our new health director. Kathy Haskins retired on March 28th, and Mr. Henry is also taking her place on that council. We appointed Lapeer Township Police Chief Dave Mallett to the Thumb Region Community Corrections Board. That board has seats for certain specific people, and he is taking the seat for a local police chief. We also appointed Robert Conrad and Dave Hill to the Veteran Services Board. We reappointed Commissioner Brad Hagedorn, Catherine Bostic, Jerry Webb, and Mary Lynn Voss to the Community Mental Health Board, as well as Mark Bachman to a vacant seat. And we appointed Bonnie Lawrence to the District Library Board. At the April 10th committee of the whole meeting, we approved the fiscal year 2025 Remotivation Grant Agreement with the County Surveyor. We also adopted the 2025 Lapeer County Equalization Report. With regard to the Sheriff's Department, we approved the 2025 police service contracts. There's 8 townships and 1 village that contracts with the sheriff to provide their police presence. They don't have a police department. We also approved paying the renewal of the sheriff's mobile app for 1 year. If you've never had a chance to look at the sheriff's mobile app, it's a very interesting app. It has the mugshot of everybody who's lodged at the county jail, what the charges are against them, what their bail is. It allows family members who want to add money to their commissary account to do that. And also at that meeting, each commissioner gets to appoint a person from their district to the Seniors Advisory Board. I appointed former longtime Attica Supervisor Ed O'Chadis as the District 6 appointee to that board. Mr. O'Chadis, of course, besides having many years of service to Attica Township, he's also served on construction code, the county EMS board, so I was very happy he agreed to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have any questions for him? Okay. Planning commission.
Well, we had something to do. We were approached by the builders, the contractors that are building the subdivision off our West High Street, and they wanted to put a sign up, so we had to do approve first. Maybe we went through our stuff and found it to where for what the sign he wanted, he was all within size and everything was right and correct, so forwarded it to, if he needed to get a permit or not, he had permission to take care of everything and put a sign up. And they take care of it.
Are they gonna put one on each side?
I believe it's just one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the east side of the drive.
Are there streetlights on that street? Like so that they can see?
Oh, on the way back,
Right, even on the like just on the street going in?
it's not too far away. Streetlight's not too far away
Okay.
from the entrance.
Okay.
All right. DBA, there was basically discussion on what they're gonna do with some of the trails, surveillance cameras, and possible help in funding, and, you know,
We're looking at redoing the signs
yeah,
coming into the village, the one out on 24.
maybe possibly putting brand new one out on 24, right at choice one.
Would
Under
that be a
property.
township responsibility? So the town, we get money from the town, the DDA gets money from the township. So,
And it-
the one,
and basically direct people in here to where the village actually is from out on 24, you know. And there's discussion if it was gonna have very many flashing lights, and we kinda put them down on too many flashing lights, distracting traffic out there. The Dryden Road wasn't a very good thing, I didn't think, so.
So, are they considering redoing the one that's south of 24?
yeah, so I actually have I'm getting an estimate to actually redo that exact sign. And, because the sign is actually in really good shape, and then do the composite post with, solar lighting that shows, that'll go up on it. And then looking at possibly piggybacking off of the Seven Ponds sign that says with an arrow, like that says, you know, Metamora, Village of Metamora. So, and then we have the ones that are coming into town, looking at redoing those. And it's actually just not revamping what we have with the symbol that's on the police car, that's on all our signs. Just kind of,
So you
Just trying to
yeah,
dress
and then,
the thing
you know,
up.
putting something on the back, thanks for coming, you know, come again. So, to make one up, basically.
Right now, we're obsolete, right?
Yep. The street light in front of Carol's,
Oh.
comes through Realty.
Yeah.
So yes, I do know that.
Thank you.
Next, I guess. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, for the public time.
So I'll go through some of these complaints first. 3 instances of folks driving on the rail trail past the sign that says authorized vehicles only. Lots of parking still on sidewalks, just so much of it. I think 2 instances of people being out on their golf carts past curfew time, which is kind of low, but weather was bad. But let's talk about Harmer Park a little bit, because I probably didn't explain it well last time, but what it is they come in from the north. So they come in from the other lot owned by the White Horston folks. And so there one day there was 1 truck in there, but yesterday there were 4 vehicles in there yesterday evening. And they were in there for a couple hours. There were 2 this side of the bandstand. There was one like right by the gazebo. It was amazing. I don't know who chooses to park there. But I really want to suggest fence, landscaping, some kind of barrier to stop people from doing it. That is a park, and per the deed, it's supposed to be a park with no parking in it. So the other complaint that's in your packet is about Nick Holden, DPW. Because one day I was out driving around and he was on a golf cart on Blood Road. Now we all make mistakes when we're driving, every single one of us does, but it is a whole other thing when you are choosing to get in a vehicle that you're not supposed to be driving on that particular road, and you keep doing it. This matters in several ways. This council appointed him to the DDA, where he is supposed to uphold laws and care about finances and keep things in order. Supposed to be a law-abiding citizen, right? But also he drives village vehicles. And in the private sector, I can tell you, he would have had to have his driver's record reviewed thoroughly. I would probably have to send his to HR, I would think, in the private sector, and a background check just to check for anything. So I don't know if that's happened or not, but you know, I already reported to you guys 4 other instances where I was concerned about how he was driving. One time he was doing about 25 going down that rail trail one morning, because he made it down, all the way down to the barn before I made it there on the road. And we had started at the same time. And some other things. And you know, at the planning commission meeting where I addressed this, he was surprised by this complaint. So it sounds like I turned this into Tina the day after, and you didn't address it with him perhaps, I don't know, he didn't know about it. So that would have been good management to say, hey, we got this complaint, you know. That's how it would go again in private sector. So I have had cause lately to go to all the villages in our county, except for Elmont. I've been there plenty of times, so I know what it's like. And what I found is in all the other villages, things are done much better. They don't have like these like little ghost parking areas, like at the beginning of the rail trail. It's like, is it parking? Is it not parking? Things are delineated. They have nice parks there, right? You go to little old Clifford with a smaller population than us. There's a park right in front of the library there. But 11 years and 8 months after $350,000 was used to buy 40 acres on North Oak Street, and it was called a park in 2017. A year ago, Tina said it wasn't a park, but it is a park. We spent thousands of dollars on plans for that park, gotten no grants, and there are still no signs out there. The people in this village deserve better than that. I don't know how many more thousands of times I'm going to say it before you guys actually get a couple signs put out there to let people know they can use that spot. How much time do I have left?
About a minute and a half.
All right, let's talk about the Holden steps. So last month we got here, and it wasn't in my packet about the Holden steps, even though you guys had that email. But then those were built like right away. And Mr. Denney had brought up, he said, I quote, "I just want to make sure code authority signs off on it." Well, I talked to Joe Israel after those were built. Joe Israel hadn't had those cross his desk. And so I've gone to every single Township Planning Commission meeting for years now, so I kind of know how it works. A sign, steps being built would have been passed through Joe Israel. He signs off on it, then it gets built, and then the code folks check in on everything. And that's not happening here. This sign that the Planning Commission approved. Did that go through Joe Israel? I don't know. And so now there have been 2 changes to that property site plan, the Holden Heights site plan, because now we got the dumpsters over there on leased land, and now we got these steps. Have those been? Has Joe looked at those? Joe Israel, has he approved those? So to me, I just have some, I know we don't have a lot of things built around here, but I have some questions. Are things being done in the right way? Because Tina is not qualified to go through a sign permit and say if it fits or not, because it sounds like you made a mistake, and that's just something for a professional to look over. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Is this one I would ask about?
You can talk.
Yeah, so I know this might be, I don't know if it's on your docket or whatever you have there, but my wife and I were looking at some property up the road, and apparently there's a water situation. I'm sure you guys have all been aware of it. I was told by the realtor it wasn't a big deal, it was gonna happen in a couple months, so I have not made an offer yet, because I ran into the neighbor and they said, hey, it's been 6 years that we've been dealing with this, and so the story I've been uncovering more and more after I came today. I visited down at the actual township, done some research online, and it seems like, I mean, the people in that subdivision definitely deserve better, and I know you guys are probably doing everything you can, and there's a lot of hang-ups, but before so, long story short, I live on Hunters Creek Road in Lake George right now. I hate living on Lake George, or on Hunters Creek. People go 100 miles an hour. I don't feel safe. I have a 1-year-old, my wife is pregnant again, 10 weeks. We don't wanna live on that road anymore. So we found this, Shalimar Ridge. There was like a couple properties in there for sale, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like country living. You could shoot, you can hunt, you can ride dirt bikes. Everyone has 10 acres. We drove around, everyone's yard was nice and neat, and it wasn't like, it wasn't like trashy or like garbagey. It was very well kept, and I was like, I could see myself living here. I could trust that my wife would be safe walking on these roads, pushing a stroller. So I was just hoping that maybe we had some sort of updates, and I think you might have something tonight. So I won't spend too much time, but I just wanted to say my name is Cody. I love living in the area, and hopefully we have some updates that are good. That's it.
Thanks, Cody.
Okay, is there no other public time on any business? Water main extension.
I do have some good news. 3, I think, significant bits of good news. One is, the very first agreement had a provision where the village is gonna be paying a $50,000 connection. Money just came into our pocket, no strings attached in terms of what we could do. After we changed the location, switched it to a dead-end system, we said, we're less comfortable with the way you restructured it, and so they still came back with the $50,000 connection fee, and we said $150,000. And the last proposal I got recently, they agreed to that. Again, I'll echo this all the way along. I think that money should be stuffed in an account that's earning interest and dedicated solely to dealing with issues related to this water extension, but that's for another speech. The second thing is, he said, look, this is an empty shell company. Even if they have insurance coverage, what happens if they belly up someday? And, how's the village gonna be made whole if there's things they still need to be paying for? And so we said, we want some kind of an escrow fund that's stored up. And, where we kind of ended up, we said, look, it ought to start out at $250,000. It ought to be put in a Lapeer County bank, it ought to be earning interest through the escrow agent, which would be TransNation, which is a city of Lapeer title company. Understand something, this started out as zero, they weren't offering any money to be put in the pot, and now they have come back and said $250,000, we put that in 30 days before we start providing water to them. So that's another good hit. Another thing is that money sitting there is earning interest. It's allowed to accumulate up to $500,000, plus at our insistence, they added a cost of living increase, so the cap goes up whenever the COLA goes up. So that sum could keep going up in the future. So that one there seems to be consensus on that number. A third good news is, we said, well, what if there's a a legal cat fight over whether or not the money we got out of the title company, the escrow agent for the escrow fund was legitimate. They could file suit. What happens if we won and the judge agreed with us? The way I had structured it is, it was a one-way reimbursement. We were the only ones that got reimbursed if we were the prevailing party, and I made no provision for them to get reimbursed for their attorney fees if they won, and they left it that way. So that's, I think, 3 bits of good news. I think these were really 3 big sticking points for the last year or more. But they have moved the goalposts a little bit, and they have added something new. The latest proposal came back and said, hey, we want to put a little tool shed for our chlorination station right in front of right next to Jamestown. And so there's a whole lot of other issues that go along with that. Most of them are engineering and are engineering questions and questions for our operator of our water system. Row Engineering's already working on it. I wanna know what the implications are of that, what's involved in this chlorination station. I will certainly insist on some sort of indemnification if there's a problem. I mean, if there's vandalism and it causes a spill or something, or a car runs into it and there's a spill. I'd like my engineers to ask the hard question too, which is, why does the chlorination station need to be in front of one of our biggest subdivisions in town?
And why do they need it? 'Cause we
Well,
already
here's
have
what the problem
chlorination.
is that because they turned it into a dead-end system, the further the water goes, and the longer it stays in the system, the more the chlorination level drops. We know that from personal experience inside of the village, that if there's dead-end stretches of our water system, especially during the hot days of summer, the chlorination level will drop, and pretty soon people start complaining about the odors in the water.
So you would think they would want it further down the line.
I'm not an engineer, but our engineer has mentioned the same thing. Why are you not putting the chlorination station about halfway out on Stock Road, where you give it another pump? I don't know what their thinking is. I don't know whether it's because they have easier access to electrical here, but that to me is I'd rather not have it in the village.
To me, it should be almost just the other side of their pumping, the booster pump station, really.
Yeah, because the whole idea was,
Help mix
okay,
it better.
it's okay, the chlorination level is okay when it hits their pipe.
Right.
So, and the problem comes because it's being funneled all the way out there, and maybe it's in the line, and some people are out of town on vacation, they're not using their water. So they have some hard questions they're gonna have to answer on why do we even need this thing inside the village anyway. Plus, very interestingly, there was no provision in the agreement for rent. I mean, if I wanted to put a chlorination station on your property and leave it there for the next 200 years, do you think you'd want maybe some rent off of it if that's gonna happen? So I have some of those questions, and there ought to be a lease, there ought to be some provision, obviously, if they don't need it anymore and the system is terminated, that they get rid of it, decommission it, and get it out of there. They don't really say how large this shed is. So these are new issues that weren't in the last agreement. If you look at the package that I gave you, I just want to give you a flavor on the 3rd page of your agreement. There are issues dealing with maintaining certain equipment that we know is located inside of the village. This is sort of the point where the connection is made to the water extension, so it's going from the village water system to theirs. And there's several important pieces of equipment. There is a backflow preventer, which is a very simple, it sounds like just what it is. The water goes out, it can't come back, it's designed so it can't come back into our system. So there is a master meter, for obvious reasons, we're selling water and we want to measure it so that we can charge them for it. There's a low pressure warning system for obvious reasons if there's a problem and there's a spike downward in the water level, then there's a warning that goes off that everybody knows. There's also a place for a sample port so that it's easier to test the water at that point, and I think our engineer was the one that insists on that. We want someplace close by, and we know water's going out the door, we know it's in good shape. And so then you get into, okay, what happens if something goes wrong? They want us to fix it within 24 hours. They want access to they don't actually say what they want access for, something to do with the shut-off valve, the master meter, the low pressure warning system, and the sample port. I don't know about you, but I'm always really nervous when I let the tenant, the water receiver, get their little hands inside of the master meter and the shut-off valve. That to me is a pretty sensitive piece of information. I'm just, what, if I don't get it done in 24 hours, you want in there, look at it. A lot of these are engineering questions. I'm a lawyer, I'm not an engineer, and we have the engineers looking at these provisions and are going to evaluate that. So that just gives you a sample for the kinds of things. These are more engineering and practical questions. Honestly, I don't think these are as hard as the money issues that we've already seemed to have reached a consensus on. I've already talked to Roe because they're sort of on general retainer with the village, but I would like permission from the village to be able to essentially commission F&B to evaluate these same procedures. For example, they say, look, you've got to fix these 4 items. If there's something wrong with them within 24 hours, I need to know from F&B what's really a reasonable time period to expect us to fix
But
this.
it might be 72 hours on
Yeah.
certain things.
I mean, it may be a week, I don't know, I don't run a water system and they do, so I would like a motion from the village to be able to commission them to do that. The fee should come out of the expert fund that we have that's put in there from the settlement. So, but that gives you a sense for, we're now down to, I think, more easier to negotiate practical things that I don't expect to be a holdup to this agreement going forward much longer, because I think we'll work through these fairly quickly. But now that we've sort of gotten past the dollar numbers, I am encouraged that we're getting much closer. These number issues have been a holdup for, I think, well over a year that we've been kind of sitting on that. I will say this, I can't emphasize enough, and I assume you may be dealing with this tonight as well, which is I really would sleep a lot better, and you will too, if you deal with the water quality issues before we start pumping water out there. And but I think I hope you're encouraged by where we're at right now, because we have been stuck in neutral for quite a while on the number issues, and all of a sudden the last agreement just pretty much wiped the number issues off and said, okay, we'll use your numbers. So I think we're getting much closer. And as far as being months away from having water pumped out there, this system probably, I don't know, what's probably gonna take a year and a half to actually build. So it's
Trying to figure out how long I have to have 2 mortgages or whatever if I buy a product. I can't do anything with it until then.
We've been trying to do this, but yet, we're not gonna put the village residents stuck with a bill on it,
There's a bill,
And trying to cover all that good.
Okay.
There are a few other, I consider them legal issues, smaller legal issues that I want to tweak while the engineers are at work evaluating these other things. But again, I think we're at a really favorable stage, and I think and for the first time in about 2 years, I think it looks promising.
So you'd like a motion to commission F&B, and it could be paid out of the ESPR fund, correct?
Yes, to evaluate the proposed first amended potable water agreement.
I'll make that motion, Tina,
Thank you.
to approve F&B to take care of it. Do they have a provision in there for, are they going to have a licensed water operator running their system?
I'm sure they have to. There's no way the state's gonna elect them. I will tell you this, I don't know how hard it's gonna be for them to get state approval. The state has already made it known that they're not a big fan of small water systems.
Especially a dead-end system.
I don't think they'll want to put a dead end.
The only thing that puts us, I think, in a different category is, it's been the state, very high up levels at the state and EPA that have had their foot in their backs for years on this thing, saying, take care of it, take care of it, take care of it. And now if we get to the point where we say, we're ready to take care of it, why are you standing in the way?
Yes.
So, every now and then they get in the way. I should tell you one small story, which is we got ready to buy the sewer lagoon property years ago. And we were getting ready to close on it. Somebody said, we should just take another look at the tile work just to make sure there's nothing new. And between the time we signed the purchase agreement and the time of the closing, the EPA had put about a $50 million lien on the property we were about ready to buy. And we said, you know, this is not a good idea. For one thing, this property was never used for the landfill, that's further that direction. And your plume things are not showing it nearby. And, we're trying to take care of a pretty serious issue here in the village, so why don't you, we would appreciate if you could remove the lien, and they did. And that's how we were able to buy the property.
Why did they put it on there?
Because they wanted somebody to pay for, all the money they dumped into the Superfund site.
Want their money back.
Well,
Hang on, we have a motion and a
Lloyd made a
second.
motion. and a
Suzy
second.
seconded it.
I'll support you.
Oh, Liz did.
Oh, I did. Whew, okay.
That's basically to have, have a fee,
Yep,
do the study and it comes out of the, so.
yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All, okay,
Thank you.
you move forward on that.
Progress. Wow.
Anything else on it right now? Okay. That's what we have on the water extension, water study well number one.
We are waiting to get another quote. Brian had met up at the well site with Burkham Well Drilling to get another quote on, drilling another well to replace well number one. We're just waiting on that. I know they are well drillers, they don't do the engineering portion of it, so they're trying to coordinate, like with F&B's engineering company, to separate their quote out, cause their quote was for all, or not F&B, I'm sorry, Peerless. Cause their quote was for the engineering, well drilling, everything, they didn't break it down. So we're trying to get that broke down and then find out how much F&B's engineers would be to work with Berkman Well Drilling, so we can have that quote to you. We were hoping to have it before today, but it did not show up, so,
But we're getting closer with that too.
yes. It's really hard to find well drilling companies that can do 12-inch wells. A few of them we've contacted.
Used to and they don't do it
Yes,
anymore. That's
so-
about it.
So far, that's all we'll have is the two, Peerless and Burkham, if they get a quote.
Couple of them wanted to recommend putting down 2 8-inch instead of a 12,
So,
so.
sorry, I was hoping to have that for you for tonight, and it did not show up, so.
Okay. New business. Safety camera.
I believe since it's going on our property, we probably do need to have a motion whether, right?
You allow them to
cameras.
put the cameras on.
I have a question for the officer, and I don't know if it's something you're able to answer, which is, if someone submits a Freedom of Information Act request for camera footage from it during a certain time slot, do you give them all that information without redaction?
No, it would be heavily redacted, and then also, I've talked to multiple police chiefs, about that issue, and also Flock, and nobody had ran into that, and as far as a request at this point.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we, allow the camera to be installed.
I'll second.
Then moving second to allow the cameras on our poles or property in the village here. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. Car crew.
Well, they're set to start the car cruise May 28th, Wednesday at 5 to 7, like it has been before in the past, going until September 2nd roughly. Like I know last year, they stopped right after Labor Day, and then there was still a handful of,
Diehards.
yes, the diehards still came out as long as the weather was permitting. So technically, by the end of September, they should be done. But they just wanna know if they can shut off the portion of the road like they have done in the past.
But, you know, I know the DDA started donating a little bit of money to them for
Right.
to advertise and for what hot dogs that they were.
Yep, and they have, Leah from Smart Dogs' daughter, Frankie is the one heading it up this year, from the chamber. So, they're hoping to advertise a little more and get some cool new cars down here for you guys. So if we can get a motion to allow them to shut the portion of the road off for the 2 hours, that'd be wonderful.
I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
We'll move second as long as the Wednesday night car cruise on Oak Street. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. One more public time.
So it's been at least 9 years they've been working on this agreement, not 6. It was well underway in 2016, so it's been a long, long time. So I want to go back to cameras really quick. I'm glad we're getting cameras. I've been asking for them. But I heard about it twice in Dryden before I ever heard about it at the township. And I only heard about it last month with you guys because I brought it up. And it was already a budget item. I just think, just like Dryden's doing, they're talking about it for 2 months, at least, before they vote on it. These things should be brought forward and the public should have a moment to comment on it before there's a vote, that kind of thing. Tina, I just want to remind you that I have a FOIA out on when the Metamora Days application comes in, Country Days and Hot Air Balloon Festival when that comes in, so I'd like to see it. So talking about the Superfund site and the 9 years this has been going on, so I spent some time on the EPA website today. There's just a lot of fascinating information on there. Because last month, Mr. Denney said, and I quote, "There was a massive cleanup, but before they got it cleaned up, some of the toxic waste bled into the water system, the aquifer. It's very hard to describe this generically, but in general, if you look at the maps, the flow of the plume, they call it the contamination plume," end quote, it's going north and northwest. And then Mr. Denney compared it to like a clear glass of water pouring in milk, and that's what a plume looks like. So I thought that was really overly simplistic. He called it simplistic. I think that was a little too simplistic, so I consulted my friendly geologist, and she described it very differently. Because it's not just like a lake under there, it's like water that's in the soil and in rock and that kind of thing. And when there are big wells around that can suck the contamination, depending on the density of that contamination, can suck it out. So people being around it and having wells and that kind of thing affects what's going to happen there. And so in the 2014 report about it, because the EPA puts out a report every 5 years, they explained that they're based on, in 1982 when they looked at it and used a magnetometer, there were about 35,000 drums is what they found. And 25,000 were removed, so that leaves about 10,000 out there that are capped. And so there's no liner underneath them, so it's not like they cleaned it up and it's done and it's not going to keep going. There's every indication that it can keep going because the EPA called it protective in the short term to cap those. It repeated and repeated and repeated. Protective in the short term. That's a short-term fix out there. That's not a long-term. We're not protected. So just to keep that in mind. But Mr. Denney, what I really take issue with was 2 meetings ago, you were talking about, because you didn't like what I said about how long this is taking and how maybe another law firm could deal with this a lot better. But you said no matter how much people whine about this, these are people with condemned wells who have huge inconvenience, who've been let down by local government on multiple counts. Whine is a really disrespectful term for them being frustrated that this could possibly take this long. I also think it's very minimizing when you said, the health department said, "We don't think you should drink the water anymore." That was a quote. No, it wasn't like that. This is condemned. You can't use this water. It's dangerous. And they have, prohibited any kind of drilling for the shallow aquifer and the intermediate aquifer. So I think as we look at this again, everyone should be on the EPA website looking at it. It looks like it's going to take years to get anywhere with this. I just wish we could speed it up. I really do. Because again, this is people needing water. They built these homes. They were let down by the Township Planning Commission or whoever let them build up there. And these are our neighbors. We should have some kind of empathy. We shouldn't disrespect them by saying whine. Thank you.
Thank you. Another public time?